Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel and thanks for logging on. Today we're discussing an extreme rarity because when I say Panerai Perpetual Calendar, even a few hardcore Paneristi are going to draw a blank. They've been few and far between. We're more than 10 years on from the last time you could buy the FER015 and its rose gold sister, the FER016. And today we're going to take a tour of one of the most unconventional and individualistic Panerai offerings, a high complication from a great house of Geneva. Yes, I said Geneva. This is a 45mm limited series watch that you can see and purchase on our website. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you enjoy these videos, and please click on the card in the upper right hand corner of the screen at any time during this video to see our full sales listing for this Officine Panerai Ferrari Perpetual Calendar FER015 with additional accessories included in the sale, high-resolution images for your desktop, and naturally complete pricing details for this Panerai Ferrari Perpetual Calendar of 247 pieces from model year 2007. And that's it. 247 pieces of this watch, 60 of its rose gold counterpart, the FER16, for 60 years of Ferrari. The watch, the only and the first Panerai Perpetual Calendar model. We can consider the two watches essentially one run in two different metals. The fact is, the base movement is a Valjoux 7750, but the modular Perpetual Calendar was created by Agenor, which you may remember as the folks who built the Harry Winston Opus 9, one of the great complication specialists of the modern era. They are a house known for doing the best work for the most elite customers, and that gives this watch a supreme pedigree. The timepiece is 45mm across the broad of the case, and I need to note, the case is a unique design. It's not a Rodimer, it's not a Luminor, it's not a Mare Nostrum, it's not a 1940, it's not a 1950. This is a completely individual Panerai Ferrari case form. People need to realize how rare these watches are. Each individual Panerai Ferrari, though somewhat considered out of fashion because neither Ferraristi or Paneristi bought into the shotgun marriage, we're beginning to realize how unusual these watches are. If your complaint about Panerai limited editions is that they repeat themselves, the gates to the barn have closed. This is a watch that will never be repeated. So individualistic at 45mm, it's also fairly thick in profile. It's 16.2mm thick, 56.5mm from lug to lug. Nevertheless, you can see how, like the typical Rodimer and Luminor cases, it does wear as more of a cushion, so though broad at almost 57mm across the wrist, the watch wears easily on my wrist, and I would say down to 14.5 to 15 centimeters in circumference, you're going to wear the FER15 quite easily and with security. The ergonomics are excellent. Now let's talk a little bit about the strap and the clasp, because this was over $30,000 new in 2007, so it received deluxe appointment. First of all, no spring bars here. You can see that the sizing, the adjustments to the strap, all that done by removing screw bars. So if you have your toolkit for swapping straps, Paneristi style, you're ready to get started on this one. More expensive than spring bars, the screws are used to keep the watch secure on a bespoke Ferrari strap. Now the strap is handsome, it's branded, so it's exclusive to this model series, and it features evacuation of channels on the top as well as the bottom to make it thin, supple, flexible, and comfortable, as well as to allow the wrist to breathe. You can see there's a hollowed recess on both sides adjacent to the lugs that lets the wrist breathe on a hot day. The clasp, and it is a full twin trigger double deployant clasp, is an upscale appointment rarely seen on Panerai watches. You'll also note, as it is Ferrari branded, this clasp is exclusive to this series of watch. Very few Panerai watches feature a clasp, so you get a sense of the price point and stature of this model in the catalog at the time it was released in 2007. The clasp is double deployant with twin triggers, so it's a better suited clasp to a small wrist thanks to the double fold, and it's quite secure thanks to the twin trigger release. The case is surprisingly complex. Now, this is the era before we saw a huge profusion of Luminor 1950s. They were still fairly scarce in 2007, and we didn't have the Radiomir 1940 in any form back then. The case is layered. It features contrasts. It features both polish, as you can see the polished highlights atop the lugs, the case band, satin finish and profile. You can see how the bezel structure is almost draped in a fluid fashion over the lines of the case. The lugs are stridently modular. They're not the simple extensions of the 1950, the traditional Luminor, and the Radiomir 1940. They're almost like a combination of a teardrop and a straight lug, almost like we're blending Panerai with Vacheron Constantin in the form of the lugs. Now, the Sapphire is remarkably flat, and it covers a dramatic ray halt. You can see the 0 to 12 scale sloping down from the bezel to join the bezel to the dial, which features a unique hobnail. The hobnail is highly attractive. It helps to break up the expanse of black. Ferrari script and the Cavallino at 12 o'clock, and you can see the unconventional perpetual calendar system that features a radial date at 6 o'clock and a coaxial leap year and month indicator on a mono counter at 3 o'clock, constant seconds at 9 o'clock. The hands are luminescent, so you can see the watch in the dark. All of the indices are hand applied. The watch features an unusual crown, first because no other Panerai series features this Ferrari branded crown, but because the design itself is completely unique, both in its shape and texture and in its unique quarter turn locking action. So it actually features a red dot that is visible when the crown is unlocked. So 1 quarter turn to lock, 1 quarter turn to unlock. Panerai managed to create both a distinctive crown design and a distinctive crown mechanism for this timepiece. Turn it over. Of course, this was 60 years of Ferrari. Back in 2007, my cousin and I snuck into the New York Auto Show using my school ID as a press credential. We claimed we were a newspaper by that name. Thanks, the Dartmouth, for getting me into an auto show on a phony basis. So, writing for my school newspaper, I saw the 60th anniversary of Ferrari at the Javits Center in New York. We drank Ferrari's wine, we ate their Italian hors d'oeuvres, and we sat in the cars, and we felt like we were getting away with murder. So I have wonderful associations with this anniversary. It's also a handsome and exclusive caseback. If your complaint about Panerai watches is that they all look the same, this watch, front and back, will create no such impression. Now, it's still 100 meters water resistant, so it is a sports watch. Get it wet. With a perpetual calendar powered by a Valjoux 7750 base, you have a tough sports watch movement with a 48-hour automatic winding power reserve underpinning the Agenor perpetual calendar module. Again, these are guys who have designed Harry Winston Opus series, who have done off-the-record work for companies of the highest echelon. They have even provided, for instance, founder Jean-Marc Wiederrecht, one of his first projects was to create a retrograde perpetual calendar module for the first modern Harry Winston timepiece back when Roger Dubuis was doing the rest of the work on that watch. That is the echelon of watchmaker that has worked on this perpetual calendar module. Many GPHG nominations. This watch has blue blood DNA on top of the blue collar Valjoux 7750 base movement, and that is the best possible tandem of toughness and horological interest. Get it in a 247-piece exclusive that shares its case with no other Panerai family of watches, a rare timepiece, a discontinued series that will never be reprised, and, fun fact, the first and only series of Panerai perpetual calendars. See it and own it on our website.